Hello, and welcome to my dining room. This is episode 23 of the Live and Learn Knitting Podcast. My name is Anne or Annie, and I'm coming to you from the banks of the Mississippi River in western Wisconsin. Today is Saturday, July 27th, 2024, and this episode is for no other reason but to celebrate a finished object. It's always nice when we finish projects, and it's not the red sweater. It's coming along, but it is a long and old, something that's been on the needles for quite a while. So, before we get into that, I just want to say thank you for watching, and I appreciate all the viewers and all the good comments that I get every week or every episode. I'm a bit dappled in the sunlight today. I guess I could move back a little bit. There. That might help. We'll see. So yes, I appreciate all the viewers and the comments. And if you do like the podcast, please like and subscribe, and that is very helpful. So we will talk right away, jump into what I'm wearing. First thing I'm wearing is a new pair of glasses. I don't always wear my glasses, and it actually is still a bit, like the distance between me and the camera, it's a bit wonky. But I can see my notes well, and I don't really need to see myself all that much. I can do this, with the bifocals, and then I see pretty good. But I'm not going to do the whole episode looking like that. That's crazy. So, but I did get some new glasses this week, and these are from Zenni. Zenni had a good sale over the 4th of July time period. And I was kind of leery to try them. This is my second set from Zenni. My eye doctor, I checked with him, and he said, yeah, go for it. You don't have a wildly specific, complicated prescription. So, and I like the lined bifocals. So he said, you're not complicated, so you can try it. And so I got a pair a couple years ago, and I really liked them, and they were comfortable, and I did a Zenni pair, and then my normal expensive from a local eye shop pair, and comparing the two as far as the vision went, there really wasn't all that much difference. So I thought, well, I'll do this again. So I got a few new frames this time. Exciting. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about knitting. So the first thing on the list is what I'm wearing. And that is a finished object designed by me. And I don't want to say that like I'm like I did anything special. Like I came up with a whole new thought process and something brand new. No, this is just a top-down raglan, and I will stand up and show it to you. So cotton sweater and top-down raglan with a little garter stitch neck, and then I will kind of tip the camera and show you the bottom. I did a little split hem front and back with a garter stitch there, and of course you can see these not even bracelet length, elbow length sleeves, and there's a reason for that. Because this was yarn that I bought in 2007, and it sat in the stash for a long time, and I wasn't even sure I liked it enough to work with it. I love the feel of it. It's this is kind of a messed up, well, maybe this is a little better label. There's still a mess from a price tag. But this is Debbie Bliss Cotton Denim Aran. And of course, this is no longer in manufacture. You can still find it on Ravelry, people selling it out of their stash. There's a bunch right now on eBay. Big quantities, like sweater quantities and then some. So if you think you want some, you can check that out. So it is an Aran weight cotton, and it is, yeah, 100% Peruvian cotton. These were 50-gram balls. I bought this, yeah, in 2007 at the Hirschner's, sorry, that's still a little crooked, Hirschner's warehouse sale. Hirschner's is a mail order company based out of Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And so it's a couple miles away from me, couple hours drive away from me. And they would have a warehouse sale every summer. I don't know if they still do it or not. But they, so they had, this was one of the yarns they had there that year. It was always a fun sale to go to. So I bought it, put it in the stash, and I just wasn't sure I liked it enough to work with it based on the color. It's brown. It looks brown. It reads brown, doesn't it? But it's complex. When I was growing up, and about 4th grade age, so what is that, 10, 11, yeah, 10, 11 years old, and maybe 3rd into 4th, so 9, 10, 11, which was mid-70s, early 70s, oh yeah, early, yeah, anyway, it was the polyester double knit era, wasn't it? And you know what I'm talking about, that thick polyester double knit fabric that was sort of spongy even. And I don't think these two outfits that I had were hand-me-downs or secondhand or anything like that. I think it was something new that my mom bought, maybe ordered from a catalog. I don't know. You know, here are two nice, in her opinion, outfits for you to wear to school this year. Oh, they were awful. They were awful. Yes, polyester double knit pants with that seam going down the legs. Were they bell bottom? Not quite bell bottom, but they, were wide leg pants. And one outfit was navy blue with a top that had some polyester to it, and then somehow it had like an inset of cotton, maybe cotton, or a patterned fabric to break up the whole solid dark color. So it had a patterned fabric somewhere. I don't know if that one had it on the sleeves, but a yoke. Yeah. So that was a blue one, navy blue one, and then there was also a dark brown one. And for some reason, the dark brown one, the contrast fabric was, orange and cream, and not a pretty floral print. It was an ugly floral print. Ugly. And I had to wear these things, and I hated them. I hated the brown one specifically. It just made me sad. Sad brown. Not happy brown at all. I don't know if there is a happy brown. It's not close, but so yeah, it was just sad. Sad brown. And the pants, they were that kind where it's sort of shiny on the inside, polyester, and then the outside is sort of that knit, soft. They were soft on the outside, like a t-shirt type fabric, but shiny on the inside. Very uncomfortable, very old lady-ish also for child's clothing. Yeah, I was just not happy. And that was sort of my beginning of I hate brown. Ugh, I don't want brown. And then many years later, when I started working for the government, our uniforms were brown. More brown. And at first they were a very, the tan shirts, and they were cotton poly. They were a poly cotton blend, let's say that, because it was more poly than cotton when I started. And then the pants were actually, I don't know if I even have a color that kind of represented the pants shade, not close to hand, but it was this we would call it baby poo brown. You know, sort of an orangey medium brown color, orangey more than brown. But then they switched to a dark brown, like what you would see, you know, the UPS drivers wear and that. And for the pants and for our jackets and things. And so depressing. So depressing. I just despised wearing that uniform. And when we would get together, our staffs, you know, in several offices, we'd have meetings every so often, trainings and that. And on those days, we could wear our civilian clothes, our regular clothes. And I'd look around. Sometimes I didn't even recognize people dressed in their real clothes. And I would think, gosh, we're a better looking group of people than I realized. You know, I mean, people just looked so different, and they looked so much more at ease even. So, and I certainly felt that way. Yeah. So wearing a uniform can be very soul-sucking. I guess it's necessary. I'm still not convinced, but yeah. So anyway, that just really, really turned me off brown. So I wasn't sure I wanted to make a brown sweater, but the feel of this yarn won me over, and the complexity of it. Like, can you see that it is a brown? It's actually, when you look this yarn up, they call it red blue, because the yarn is constructed out of, and that's probably not going to focus on the yarn, but it's constructed out of, several plies. Look at how many strands. There are 5, and I'm really off with the camera today. I'm sorry about that. There are 5 strands, and each strand is a 2-ply. Each strand is a 2-ply, and then in each 2-ply, there's a sort of a mix of red, well, what they call red. It's a rusty red, dark brown. Not dark brown, but a rusty dark red. And then a navy blue. So together that kind of reads as a brown, but it has texture to it. It has color texture, not physical texture. Depth. So it's a nice, it's a nicer brown, and I think I've been out of that uniform long enough that I'm starting to embrace a brown here and there. So definitely this was made for the feel of the yarn. This yarn, this cotton, it feels amazing. It is super, super soft. 100% cotton, and I'm guessing it's soft for one thing because of the whatever kind of cotton they chose. It's probably a nice long staple cotton, and because of that roundness of the yarn, and probably because of the spinning. It's got just a bit of a halo to it, not much, but just the spinning of it. The staple length of the cotton is really good, and yeah, it's because of all those plies, 5 plies of 2-ply yarn. It's a very round yarn. It would show up cables really well if I had wanted to do cable project, but I only had 10 balls of this yarn, 10 50-gram balls of this yarn, and I knew that if I wanted to do cables, cables eat yarn and require more yardage than so I thought, okay, plain is the way to go here. And I picked out a ball of yarn, and I believe, if I'm remembering right, I had 9 balls in one die lot, and then I had 1 ball that was an odd ball in a different die lot. And I really couldn't tell the difference, but I was a little leery about that. So I used that ball to make my swatch. And I did a pretty big swatch. When I weighed it, it was 40 grams. So I used almost the whole ball of yarn and did, 5 different needle sizes, I believe. I think so. My sorry, my iPad went to sleep with my notes on it. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which I think I did a 4 or 5 or 5, 6, 7, 8 needles I tested, and I ended up using a size 7 needle. But I made that swatch in 2021, and then it sat there for a year, and I didn't make a sweater. I think I wasn't sure if I was hesitant. Oh, am I going to have enough yarn? What kind of sweater should I make? So I was probably looking for a pattern. And at least I had the swatch, and I kind of knew how that worked up, and I thought it felt good. So it sat there for a year. And then I decided to try to make the pyramid pullover, which is a design by Mini-Me Designs, and she's an Italian knitter designer. The shaping of the Mini-Me is like, this is a traditional raglan where the raglan seam is out here. And the shaping of the Mini-Me, similar to the Carbeth sweater by Kate Davies, if you're familiar with that one, where the raglan actually starts here and goes out at a rapid angle, more severe angle off to the side. And so this front and the sleeves are increasing at different rates to achieve that severe angle shaping raglan. It's not, I don't even know if I would call that a raglan. You know, not a traditional one anyway. Non-traditional raglan. And so many people have made the Carbeth sweater, and I've seen it in person, and I wasn't sure about that shaping or that fit. And, you know, if you look at projects on Ravelry, you see it look good on some people and not on others. But I was just curious enough, I wanted to try it. Well, there was, I think on the body side of that shaping in the pyramid pullover, some very severe increases. And like I think we were increasing 2 stitches in the same row, you know, in the same stitch, like on each side of a stitch to get that. And with this cotton yarn, it's an Aran weight yarn, so a bigger yarn, and I wanted to do it not at a loose gauge, but, you know, certainly not a tight gauge. So doing those increases, it was really gaping at the seam lines, and it was, you know, it looked holy. There was no pretty way to make that many increases, you know, either by front and back or backward loop, or you know, you couldn't even do lifted increase because there wasn't enough to lift. So yeah, it was just pulling the fabric apart, and I thought it was looking pretty awful. So I tore that apart, and I decided, well, I will just go back to a top-down raglan. I'll figure out some numbers myself and do that. So that's what I did. I think I've mentioned in the past, there's a book by, oh goodness, it's like all the sweaters in every gauge, plug it all in, Ann Budd, design your own, and, you know, sweater, the Knitter's Book of Sweaters or something like that. And you can just, yeah, you take a gauge swatch, plug your numbers in, and here's a raglan shaping, here's a drop shoulder shaping, here's a round yoke shaping. And I don't know if they go in both top down and bottom up directions, but it's a good blank canvas if you want to try and make your own design, or yeah, fit in yarn that you have that you can't find a pattern for. So that's what I did, and I let's see here, I just guessed. I wanted a wider neckline. I didn't want, you know, summer sweater, sort of a summer sweater. Aran weight, it's a little heavier. It does have that comfy sweatshirt feel to it, very much so, with this weight of yarn. But I did want a wider neckline. And so yeah, I just did a broad amount actually on the sleeve opening, the sleeve seam, and the front and back are they the same? Yes. Yeah. So this was 15, 42, 15, and 42 in the back. Pretty easy. And I did a couple sets, 2 sets of short rows in the back. Raises the back, it doesn't really look like it raises the back of the neck much, but it just enough to have this drop down and not be up here. So yeah, two sets of short rows. And after that, it's just smooth sailing. I tried it on, and I was so worried I was going to run out of yarn. I was just being very cautious, and so I tried it on, and when I split for sleeves, I cast on 8 stitches under each underarm. And then I did 3 or 4 inches, and I tried it on again, and it was way too wide. It was way too wide, and I thought, oh, you are first. And I knew I had eaten up a whole bunch of yarn, and I thought, you can't have it be that big, that much positive ease, and you will run out of yarn. And it looked loose and sloppy with that many underarm stitches. So I ripped back, and I did just 4 under each arm. So I took out 2 inches of body width, body circumference. And I'm really happy with this underarm and the depth of it, and it's just, yeah. I couldn't have asked for a better underarm and side, split for sleeves. So yeah, that was good. And so then I motored on down, and because I was doing, this crazy yarn management, I had the sleeves on circular needles, and so each sleeve was on a circular needle with a hunk of yarn hanging off of it. The body was actually, when I would try it on, I would put the front on one circular needle and then the back on another circular needle and try it on. So a lot of times it was just in a heap with two circular needles flapping around, and yarn tails from there. And the thing is, because I was worried about the yarn, I didn't want to weave in any of the ends until I was absolutely finished, in case it didn't turn out to be a good length or enough yarn, and I would have to rip it all out. It's harder to rip it out when you've woven in those ends, and you've got to then stop and pick that out. And with a cotton sweater, it would have come out okay, but it's tedious, and it can abrade the yarn just a little more and that kind of thing. So I didn't. So, and I also have this, what's a good word? Predilection, if we're going to use 50-cent words today, I don't like to stop. Like if I ran out of yarn right here in the middle, I'm not going to change my yarn and add a new ball right in the middle, because even if I can do it perfectly, it could still show. And especially with a cotton yarn, they're not grabby. It's not an invisible thing. So if I ran out of a ball, I wanted to do it at a side seam. So I did have yarn tails that maybe were 2 or 3 yards hanging down, that wouldn't have made it across to the next side seam, but I didn't want to cut them either, because every inch was valuable. And I'll show you and I'm happy with the length of it. It's down just, let's see, my pants waist is here, so it's just below that. It's not cropped. It's just pretty much normal good length for me. So here is what I ended up with after I was finished. That is my yarn left over. And these are the long bits. These are the trimmings from after I wove in the ends. Yeah, these trimmings. And you can see, look how that split apart, so it was a very splitty yarn in some regards. It didn't split so much while I was knitting it, but when I was trying to sew in the ends and that, it was getting very splitty. Yeah, so that's all I was left with. And there's, let's see, 1, 2, and that's the shortest piece there, which is maybe 18 inches. So not too many yards left. Good yarn management there. And I would work a bit on the sleeve and then a bit on this sleeve and kind of keep them going. And I did the rounds of stockinette. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did 3, and then I stopped, and then I did the ones at the bottom. And of course, I did have to take apart that swatch and use that yarn. And I don't know, it doesn't show that it was a different dye lot or anything. It's not showing up. But because that had been sitting knitted for a year or 2 years, 3 years, it was, even though it was cotton and it was pretty lax, it still had some kink to it. So when I knit the bottom, you could see, oh gosh, that's all kinky and everything. And that did come out in washing and blocking, which I thought it would. So yeah, I did the body length as much as I wanted, and then I actually did have enough to add on 1 more round or 2 rounds of garter stitch edge to each sleeve edge before I bound off. And I bound off in a new method for me, the hot new method of the Icelandic bind off that everybody's doing these days. So 2 of my knitting friends had done it, and so I got to see it up close and personal and how it looked on a shawl edge, and I thought, that would be great for a garter stitch edge. And it really was. I was very, let's see if I can hold it up. It just looks like a garter stitch edge, and it's very stretchy. I'm really pleased with it. Yeah, it's stretchy. It's stretchy without flaring out too much. I don't like it when, a ribbing, a bind off can be all wonky. You don't want them too tight. You don't want them too loose either. So it turned out just right. And it did look there were a couple stitches where it looked a little funny because of that kinkiness of the ripped out yarn. But it all evened out really nicely in the wash. And this yarn, it's 100% cotton. It's like dishcloth yarn. You could make dishcloths out of this, but here the darn care instructions say machine washable at 40 degrees. I think that's centigrade, because this is a European yarn. And, don't bleach it, of course. It says you can light iron it. Tells you that you can dry clean it, but then it says no tumble dry. It's cotton. Why can't it go in the dryer? So I washed it and blocked it yesterday, and I washed it in the sink. I spun it out in my salad spinner. I was worried I was going to have to put it in the machine to spin it, but it actually did fit in my biggest salad spinner. So I got as much water as I could get out with that. And then I rolled it in a towel and stomped on it and got more water out, lots more water out. And then, I said, don't put it in the dryer. And I thought, well, it is still too wet to put in the dryer, really. So I laid some Afghans over the top of a chair, and I laid it over the chair back. I wanted to lay it outside in the sunshine. I thought it would dry really fast that way, but I missed my window of time. There wasn't much sun left in the day. So I just put it on the chair for overnight. And this morning I threw it in the dryer, and it needed a good, just by itself with the dryer balls and everything in there to bounce around, almost an hour to finish drying. But then it was perfect. It came out all nice and perfect, and I'm so happy with it. It's a bit hot right now. It's going to be a stuffy hot day here. I haven't turned the air conditioning on yet. It's in the high 70s in the house right now. It's nice outside. There's a little bit of a breeze, but it's just going to get hotter and hotter today and be almost in the 90s. The humidity's up. So after the podcast, yeah, I'm going to take this off and put on something cooler, turn the air on, and enjoy the day. Kind of enjoy the day. Watch some Olympics. The Olympics started yesterday. So I will do that because I'm still, sadly, I am still healing from this bike accident that I had almost 3 weeks ago now. And darn if the puncture wound that I have in my leg, I'm sorry if this is disgusting and gross, you can fast forward. But the wound in my leg, it opened back up. Because I did too much on Wednesday. I cut the grass. I was in the pool 3 hours. I went for a walk. Couldn't take it. So it's not comfortable right now. It's in pain again, and I need to rest. And I'm hoping that it'll feel better by Monday. I had gone back to the doctor on Thursday about it. Just because I knew it's not feeling good at all. So we're still watching it. Watch and wait and see what happens and be patient. And I am not patient. Fix me now. Anyway, that's my sweater. I don't really have a name for it. It's a top-down raglan, cotton raglan. But if you've ever thought about trying to do your own design, there are plenty, even, like they talk about the Tin Can Knits pattern has a good top-down raglan to start and try to, plug in your own numbers. So there are many options out there for that kind of, if you want to, give it a try with your own yarn. It's not, top-down raglan in a bigger gauge is a really good place to start, because it takes less time to decide if it's all working out right or not, and easy to try on. So give it a try. I think that's all I needed to talk about with this. Yeah, I started the swatch in 2021, the sweater in 2022, finished it in 2024. And you know why I finished it? Because I knew it was almost done. And I had 2 balls of yarn basically to go. And it's bulky, so it's up fast. And after that try on with the red sweater, which I'm still working on, making progress, but after that I thought, okay, I can breathe just a little bit, and I really want to finish something, pull out that project, and get it done and feel the sense of accomplishment. So that's what I did. And today I'll go back to the red sweater and work on that some more. So that is my project for the day. I've got just a couple more little things to talk about. I said I wasn't going to talk much about stash acquisition on this podcast, but I did do some this week, and only because, there were 2 reasons. There were 2 places, so there were 2 reasons. Yarn Cakes in West Salem, such a sweet shop. I love that shop. Heidi is closing and retiring. Not closing because the business failed, but retiring because she's got a new grandbaby. Her youngest son is just about out of school, so it's time for her to do other things. And originally, she had planned to sell the business and the building. She had an interested buyer that she was working with, and going to take the business over and continue it. And at the last minute, at the 11th hour, that all fell through. And we all feel really bad for her that happened, because she is so sweet and was so helpful to so many knitters in 6 short years that she was open. She sparked a lot of creativity for all of us. So I went and I had a couple projects in mind that I knew she had yarn for. So yeah, I went on Thursday, Thursday, and you know, bought some yarn down there. So that was one, and I bought these earrings. Aren't they cute? Yeah. I like that they're not identical, I think. And the amber and the, I'm not sure if that's a black or brown beads, but they go with a lot of things. So that was a good find. And a nice memory of Heidi. So that was Thursday. And then Friday, I went down yesterday morning to Utopia in Viroqua because it's crazy days down in Viroqua. And they were having sidewalk sales, and they had put an announcement out that they were going to have some equipment on consignment there. Spinning wheels and looms and, you know, any kind of, equipment that you wanted to sell, they would do a consignment thing this weekend. So I had a table loom that was sadly collecting dust. Nice, a small Kesnick 4 harness, 14-inch loom. And I thought, you know, I did want to sell it on my own, but I thought this might be a better way. They have more exposure there. And so I thought, oh, I contacted them and I asked if I could bring it. They said yes. So I did that yesterday morning. The sale started yesterday, it goes through today. If you're anywhere close to Viroqua, go to Viroqua and have some fun. Find some good bargains. I saw all kinds of stuff outside on the sidewalks from the shops. There were just down the street from her. There's a consignment shop, you know, a thrift shop of all kinds of odds and ends, and then there's an antique and collectibles store. There's really good bookstores in Viroqua. Stores, multiple, and of course, good places to eat. So it's a destination for sure. So of course I couldn't just drop the loom off and run. No, I had to go in the shop and look around and shop. And I did also have, yarn for a couple projects. I had projects in mind, which is has become very helpful to me when I go into a yarn shop, because otherwise I just get overwhelmed and see all the pretty things. And, you know, I buy stuff that's like, oh, I'll just try this, and I don't know what I'll do with it. And then I don't do with it. So, so I did get a couple things. And one thing I want to show you is this new kit that I think it's new, that they put together. Look at those pretty yarns. This is, let's see, they're not bundled, but it is Ridge Sport. And this is their yarn that they make at the Utopia Fiber Mill. And if I'll put a link to it in the show notes, but if you haven't seen my little video tour of the day we went down and she had an open house, Kate did at the mill, watch that, it's fun. And that's where they made this yarn, Ridge Sport, 100% wool. And the kit is this. Lisa is Kate's mom, and Lisa designed this Phoenix hat and cowl kit. So, and she said, you can get the hat for sure, and then you can do the cowl and use up all the leftovers, you know, because the cowl can be just work it until you run out of yarn idea. So two really cool accessories, and I believe this was $45, which for 2 accessories, that's amazing price. I didn't double check that. I think that was $45. And the pattern comes with, I like these little, they do their patterns in these little cards, which are real easy to tuck into your knitting bag. I like that a lot. And I looked on their website this morning and I did not see this cowl on there. I think it's too new. But if you're not from around here and you want to buy this kit, and they had it in this lovely colorway, they had a couple other colorways. They had a monochromatic, like black, white, gray one also with the neutrals. Very stunning. So if you're interested in this, and you don't see it on the website, you could always send them an email or a, message through Facebook, or contact them, call them, and ask about it, because I'm sure they will be happy to put kit together and send it to you. Very, very fun, and I'm having a hard time not winding these into balls and casting on today. I don't need to cast on another project. Maybe if I make another milestone in the red sweater, I will do that, but we'll see. So that was my, yes, a bit of stash acquisition and fun project in the future. So that was those were my 2 outings for the week. That's a lot. 2 back to back. And, then it'll be months of nothing. I'm tempted to go to the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival, which is in mid to late September in Jefferson, Wisconsin. I'm still thinking about it. I should just sit on my hands and stay home and use the things I have and, work with my spinning wheel and get it figured out. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel in September. So that's all I have for today. Let's say 40 minutes. That's good. I don't want to be too long. Just a little bit of admin about the past episodes. The Advent things that I talked about last time, and I asked, what do you do for Advent? And I had some interesting comments. Some people were in the same category that they don't buy into the Advent kits because they're, look at all that dappled sun coming in, because they're too pricey. They don't like the pressure, I guess, of having to do something every day. They like, the overarching theme was they like a quiet holiday. Or the people that commented said they like to have, a quiet holiday. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it a little bit. I mean, I don't want to do anything really elaborate. But I'm wondering about a couple things. The number of subscribers to the podcast has grown a good deal this summer, and I was very pleased with that. And I'm wondering if it's time to put together a group on Ravelry for the podcast. If people would comment there, because what we could do, I was thinking of calling it the Wintertide Make-Along, because that doesn't refer to Advent. It doesn't refer to any other religion. It's just a time frame of making, nesting, being cozy. But it's kind of one-sided if I'm the only one talking about it. So we could do something like that in a Ravelry forum, in a Ravelry group. If you're interested, let me know. And I think I mentioned it once in a winter podcast, but the book Wintering, and now I can't remember the author's name. But that book spoke to me a lot when I read it, about that whole feeling of, what do you do in the wintertime? How does winter affect us? All of the traditions, why there are so many traditions set in wintertime, and the significance of them. It was a very good book. And so, maybe some discussion about that, and in conjunction with a knit-along or a make-along. Make-along could be anything, and no no deadline. There would be a start and a finish, but no, you have to do this by this deadline, or you have to do this thing, or, it can only be this. So very relaxed, kind of a, so relaxed that it might not even be, that's the thing. So relaxed that it might not be a thing. I'm still thinking about it, and will happily take ideas, suggestions, comments. If that has any interest to you at all, if a Ravelry group has any interest to you at all, let me know. And also, someone did mention that they're still seeing a lot of ads, and I read one article that did say, yes, until you are in that category that you get compensated for ads, YouTube's gonna stick them in like mad, because they're getting away with it for free, basically. So if I can get like about 200 more subscribers, we would be probably in the clear. I bet you the ads would go down. It'd be interesting to see. We're close. I say we because it's us. And we're close. It would be nice to see what happens if I get over that limit. So in the meantime, just suffer through with the ads. I'm sorry about it. Again, I apologize. And I saw some this week that's like, oh my gosh, stop showing me bra ads. I don't need that. That's not my thing. So, show me some yarn ads. That'd be okay, right? Wouldn't we like to see that? Why doesn't Webbs advertise on YouTube, or anybody else? Brooklyn Tweed, Quince and Company. I never see Quince and Company in a store. I mean, maybe once. And are they still even making yarn? I'm not sure, because I don't see them in the stores. But so yeah, that's the kind of ads we want to see, right? Fun things. So, all that being said, I hope you have a comfortable weather day wherever you are. I know I have some viewers from Australia. I hope you're staying warm. I hope that the summertime people here are staying cool. And get a glass of lemonade or a cup of tea. Watch some Olympics. They're fun. The opening ceremonies were just amazing, as usual. Good old Paris. I knew they'd come through with some artsy, really exciting things to watch, and they did not disappoint. Yeah. So now it's time to watch the athletes shine, and they will shine. So that's my next stop, the couch. Take care, everyone. Oh, we're just getting a visit from George here at the end. He's coming around. So before he doesn't know what to do. Before he knocks the camera over, I'll say goodbye. And be well, be careful, enjoy your knitting, your making, your living. It's all good. Take care. Bye-bye.